Good evening. Good evening to all you wonderful patriots of Trinidad and Tobago. To my dear friends and noble colleagues at the head table, what a magnificent platform we are here tonight. To my dear and most able friend and colleague, the Attorney General, Gavin Nicholas, thank you for gracing us with your presence here this evening. This beautiful Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, from the beautiful hills of Diego Martin to the fertile plains of central Trinidad, to the wondrous south with the wealth of oil and gas, to the most pristine beaches of Tobago. But the greatest wealth of this nation and its greatest beauty are its people. As I stand here tonight and I look into this audience, you really represent every creed, every race, every religion. Every economic strata of the society. The Congress of the People is the People's Congress of Trinidad and Tobago. I was attracted to this party. I could ask you to hold the whistles and the trumpets for a little bit, please. I was attracted to this party for the very reason that from its birth, its intent was to demolish the old gatekeepers, as they say, of racial divide in the politics, that served no one other than those who became the new colonial masters under a new disguise of independence. This was a party that was created to ensure that all of our dreams were met, where the resources of the country were given to the benefit of all of the citizens, whether from the east, the west, the north, the south, central, and certainly from Tobago. And this party went into elections in 2007 and proved by the numbers that we got, not having won the election, but it won the hearts and the ambitions of all those who love Trinidad and Tobago. When I remember clearly that the votes we were able to get in Oropouche were matched by the votes we got in Diego Martin, and equally by those we got in central Trinidad and in the east and everywhere else, there was an uplift in the society where it was not polarized by the results of the elections of 2007. And when many had given up hope, that this new force in the politics, this catalyst for change, having not won, would die, we said no. We held firm and we held true to the faith that this was an experiment that needed to take the next step, and we did. Against all of the odds, sometimes operating on fumes, but knowing full well that the ambition of a nation was at stake. We joined with our partners, and of course we came into government, and you've heard the delivery of this wonderful thing called coalition politics, this great organization called the People's Partnership, where we bring the strengths of all together. We have weaknesses, yes, but together our strengths far outshadow any weakness we may have. And we have succeeded to the benefit of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. You may blow your trumpets now, my friends. We have done much, but there is much, much more to do. There is much, much more to do for a nation that is in jeopardy. It is always in jeopardy because the old forces have never died. Indeed, they have intended themselves, prepared themselves to retake the power of this nation, to take us back to where we have come, to return us to a state of almost dereliction and failure, to take us back to hatred and division. Because it is from division and hatred that they were able to source their power. The new political power that we say must occur in Trinidad and Tobago, and has occurred under your government, is that the divisions have started to heal. The separations and inequalities have started to subside. And that is putting a tremendous fear into the hearts of those evil-minded and wicked souls who want power to use not as a tool for the benefit of us all, but as a weapon to destroy our future. And that is why tonight it is so important to see the strength of the COP reconciling itself to its value to our nation. We do not take precedence over anyone else, but we take an equal space in the politics. We may be of small numbers. As Lincoln has always said, we may be outnumbered, but the COP will never, ever be outgunned. The nobility of purpose brings the greatest force known to the universe to our side and in our hearts. It is almost as if the universe has conspired to allow us to continue to be where we are. It is as if the universe tells us that we must go on because we have been severely tested and we have proven over time against all of the attacks, all of the insults, all of the negative beliefs, but we have succeeded. And there is a new dawn approaching us, and this dawn is at hand. And this country will have to make a decision as to which dawn it chooses. A dawn on election morning will ask you, each and every one of us, whether we are so interested in the future that we will do the basic of civil duties, where many have died in other nations, spilled their blood for that right, whether we would even take the time of day to leave our homes or our jobs to go to vote. Because if you choose on that dawn, on election day, to not vote, or worse yet, to do vote, but to vote back things that we do not want and we must repudiate and say that you do not belong in the halls of power, and the dawn, the day after election, shall come upon us, and the wrong government shall return, the future of this country would have been distinguished by our failure to act or by our failure to do the right thing. It's as simple as that to me. The lines are clearly drawn. It is P&M versus partnership. P&M, say it with me, P&M versus partnership. P&M versus partnership. There is no middle ground in this battle. We have learned before that any division will allow the P&M, and I want to say when I speak of the P&M, I do not speak of the great institution of Dr. Eric Williams, or even now in hindsight of the gentlemanly leadership of Mr. Manning. I hasten. What we have now is nothing short on a return to thuggery, gangsterism, hatred, and divide. Why do I say these things? And tonight I do not have the time to go through all of the details. But when a proposed leader could go to the south, the most beautiful of areas, and engaging in a wonderful exercise of carnival and to do things which I expected in carnival. Hold on. And we all know about that incident. But when it was told to him that who he did his thing to was a 17-year-old who under our law is still a minor, his response was shameful and disgraceful. If that was all, that would be bad enough. But I sometimes use obscene language. Yes, I do. My family is here and they tell me, please stop. But not I myself could bring to this podium the words he used to describe our Prime Minister and to make insinuations. Not just about that awful thing, and he spoke about Larry Lala and what he was suckling at. This man has no respect for women. It is an attack not on your Prime Minister, it is an attack on every mother, every daughter, every sister. When I thought it was bad enough for him to have done what he did in San Fernando, because he is a father, he is a husband, and if he did fall into error because maybe he was imbibing something that may have given him a different spirit, and if he believed he was a stag or a ram at that point in time, well, maybe that, but to continue the attack on all of womanhood, this is what it is. This is a leader that we want? Is this a leader that we need? Is this a leader we can afford to have? Absolutely not. To have heard about the extreme degrade of the constituency which he represents, The first question this man asked the Prime Minister, the historic moment for the first time a Prime Minister under your People's Partnership government said, I shall come to the people and answer questions in the Parliament. You know the first question this man would ask? When history is in the making, he would ask, Mr. Combat, you remember? What about the fishing depot? When he was minister in successive governments and administrations, Minister of Agriculture even. But he asking we about fishing depot. Yeah? When you hear Dr. Mahabir tell you, we, your government, because we do not see politics in our delivery to our brothers and sisters wherever they are. We are building a state-of-the-art, world-class health center in Diego Martin, his constituency, because they did not do it. But we have been regaled for the last several years on two main things: that this government is corrupt and it discriminates against PNM constituencies. They say corruption. What was our response? Dr. Bo Tiwari, thank you. Procurement legislation. You could complain, but we give the answers. We fix the institutions to ensure that all those wicked and evil and mischievous things that cheated us of our better future and our better present from the past, we are fixing those things. They say we discriminate, but the amount of work that has gone, in particular along the East-West corridor, in terms of infrastructural projects and development, in terms of the development of schools, new schools that they never had, in terms of all of the programs, be it MUST and social intervention programs, the facts are there. So we shall not fall victim to the propaganda of this war machine, and that is what they are. Because he is not alone in his wickedness and shamelessness. There is a fellow by the name of Al-Rawi, and I do not want to trouble you with unnecessary negativity, but it's important for us to learn. Dresses better than anyone you could imagine. Speaks as smooth as they come. Some would have referred to him as Slick Willie. The man has language and poise and decorum, but when you put him under pressure, then you see the real man turn up. When it is obvious to anyone that you cannot both be a witness and a lawyer in the same case at the same time, the wrong and the strong. When the authorities were put before them, they had no choice but to go, but in going, say, I ain't do nothing wrong, I just leave him because I feel to leave. And there are many more. There are many more. You cannot clothe evil and let the evil take control of your belief, because that is the art of the con. They speak the language and they dress the part to give you the confidence in who they are. But by the grace of God, we have started to see that crack on the facade of civility. We've started to see the real PNM. The real PNM under Rowley is no good for our nation. I wish to continue my life until I shall die in this land. I want my daughter to grow here. My father loved us, all my brothers and sisters, well, not all my brothers, but my brother and sisters are here. And he taught us great love of animal and of children. And when I love my child and I see other children, I see them as my own. And therefore, it is a future we need to protect, to ensure that they have a country that they could live in harmony. Let us not underestimate that word. We have heard of tolerance, but Lincoln has taught me tolerance is not good enough. You must not just be able to tolerate. Roger, you always say this, but we are a society, and if we intend to have a future, meaning that we want to live here, and for our children to live here, that means there is a future. We determine now by what we do the nature of the future we want, and we shall create. If we allow these dividers and racists, and you see the headlines front page of people calling N-word and C-word, that happens, is a reality, but it is on the down, it is subsiding, because the COP is here and the partnership has proven that everyone has a place in the society, where you are empowered to do things that you never thought you could, where questions could be posed and answers given and responses made. This is a new Trinidad and Tobago. So if we want a place of peace, of prosperity, as we've heard Dr. Tiwari and many others speak of, the economy has never been better, even with oil and gas at a low. We protect the interests of the people. We did not raise a tax, nor have we laid off a single worker in this nation. But what is most magnificently dishonest is that the very people who speak of the language of protecting workers hold their hands with the PNM. And they say they are but one in this battle to get rid of what is best for this nation. Little do they realize the obscenity and inconsistency of their position. In the PNM, what would they have done had they continued in power from 2010? Your homes would be jeopardized by property tax. Your party fought that, and to today, your homes are protected against the devilish property tax. They would have spent $25 billion putting your country into debt for a rapid rail system that we could not have afforded then, and certainly cannot afford now, and may not be able to afford into the future, unless, of course, we continue in government, because we showed that we could get value for dollar. When many projects, in fact, all of the projects I understand are now coming in within time and under budget. But yet there's an allegation and accusation of corruption. How could the both be true? How could we deliver everywhere on issues never, in areas that they didn't even know existed? Deliver in such quality and quantity, and yet have surpluses, and yet be the most corrupt government in the history of this nation? Could both things be true? We have the living proof of our delivery. And if that, by seeing, is believing, experiencing is knowing, then what they have said about corruption cannot be true. I am not saying for a moment there will not be elements of it. There must be, because the society was developed and built almost on a foundation of corruption. A lot of the institutions have decayed to a point where it is almost taken for granted, that in every government office and in every government project, there will be an element of corruption. We take that, but we have attempted to fix that. As we move forward, this country is in a far better place today in 2015 than it was in 2010. But there is the danger I will return now to, because it is important for us to keep underlining. Because of the propaganda of the last several years, many of our brothers and sisters have been blinded and, with the best of intention, misled by misrepresentations. That is why we have come to the nation, our brothers and sisters and the Prime Minister on their Monday night forum, and we, the COP, on a Thursday, to speak directly with you, not to go through the filter of a media that distorts a lot of the headlines, doesn't tell the truth about the good news. As Lauren has reminded us, we must speak to you as brothers and sisters, friend to friend, so that you will know when we speak it is true. That this country is a great country in jeopardy with an election that will make us or break us. I want to say the society that we are developing is one where communities, and both Tiwari will tell you at another forum, of the new planning laws that have come and the new ones that are on the books to come, of the zoning areas, so that when you go to bed at night, you will not have a bar next to you blasting music so you have no rest. That there will be so that residential areas are truly residential areas, but with industrial parks close by. So the issues of the garage, of course the mechanic has his duty, he has his, and we shall create a space and a place close. Gus, you're the one who first told me about that years ago. It is happening because of your government, Gus. So that your work is close to your home. Your school and your community will return to what it was intended to be. Village-like, where the neighbors know each other, look out for each other, where children are able to play in safety and in harmony with every race, in every economic background, because when they grow together, you will not separate them. When they know that we are all of the same ilk, that we have the same needs and the same ambitions, that every parent wants a better Trinidad and Tobago, but if you talk race and you talk division, you are poisoning their future, because you will grow them up with hate. And there are some weak members in the society. As a criminal lawyer, I will tell you there are many cases that we know of, that in the act of robbery and of butchery, tremendously nasty racial statements were made. So there was a kind of hate factor that we need to deal with. It is a genie that we need to put back into the bottle and abdicate all possibility for future generations, for anybody to speak race or to denigrate anybody. That's the reality of politics. The COP has shown by our actions, because we have condemned even our partners in the past. On the political platforms, your language and your content must be that which uplifts the nation, not just entertain it. If you want entertainment, it has cable TV, right? It has newspapers, it has comic book, and it has Rowley. Do not squander your future for entertainment, my friends. Because when the show done and the party is over, somebody has to pay to get home. And your homes, your lives, when I say your homes, I don't mean your physical building, but your home known as Trinidad and Tobago is in jeopardy with that sort of leadership. I feel sorry for Penny, but I think it was a good thing that he has separated the good from the bad. I understand even Donna Cox has been removed as a potential candidate, one of the better MPs of the PNM. I do not know what will happen to my friend, Dr. Amory Brown. I do not know, because Dr. Amory Brown is one of the brightest and one of the most decent and well-mannered of the PNM. Not to vote for him, because let me tell you something. What they may do is they may take good and noble persons as a front, as a facade, and that if you are fooled into believing, for instance, my friend Neil Mohammed in Pointe-à-Pierre will be a good candidate and a good MP, and you vote for him, who you putting in power? Not Neil Mohammed, you know, Rowley. Al-Rawi. I asked the question, what is Mr. Fen Mohammed, a man I respect, saying tonight to his son? Do you want a leader that you support, Neil, that will say these awful things about women? Mr. Stuart Young, great family, okay lawyer. What is going through your family to know that this is who you partnered with? It ain't too late, bros. It ain't too late. Abdicate him and leave him alone to his wickedness and his mischief. I say this, my friends, my time is almost running out. I have so much more to say, but we shall have many more meetings, because our engagement with you, I want to tell you, coming to these meetings has re-inspired me. It has re-inspired your party. It has re-inspired a people, that the Congress of the People is here to stay. My friends, I make the point for all those, because a lot of young people do not know a lot of the wisdom of the ages. When we grew up, my uncle here, he used to read to us before I could have read. Well, that's not quite true, but before I could have read well. And I remember my father always saying, you know, some of the old wise statements that has stuck with us. Many of the good things. And it's important, you know, there's a book called The Student's Companion. We must reinstitute that into our schools. Because in that, you will find the wisdom of the ages compressed into parables and into short sentences. And one of the ones that I will never forget, but not one of the best ones, and this attaches to the potential leader of your nation, your future prime minister, if you allow it to happen. You could take the man out of the gutter, but you cannot take the gutter out of the man. As Roger Samuel will tell you, so is the leader, so are the followers. A nation that is led, as they say, fish rots from the head, and the rest follows after. If you want further proof, cast your mind back, Gavin. You weren't in Trinidad, I don't believe. When we debated constitutional reform, Rolf, you remember? Outside of your parliament, what did Rowley attract? A literal mob that cursed and almost physically, and I think actually physically abused persons on their way to do the people's work. It was an attack on the democracy of Trinidad and Tobago, but you can't blame the people because that is what their leaders' signal and message is. That will only amplify, and this is without power, you know. This is without state resource. Wake up. Those who support, do not fall for the dream and the belief of the old pyramid no longer exists. It does not exist. And they say I'm bashing Rowley unnecessarily. I have to. Because if we are at war, and we are at war, identify the general and know his weaknesses and his strengths. Know what faces you and prepare strategically to engage. The character of the man is in question. And if your character is strained, if it is flawed, then you cannot ever expect to hold power and leadership. I was asking myself as I reflected today, what sort of home, what sort of history did this man have before he entered political life? What sort of autopsy, what was in his youth that allowed him to become who he is today? To be hateful, to be spiteful, to be arrogant, to be cold, to be uncaring, and to be abusive to the dignity of women. Those who know him best will answer those questions. But tonight, we are about far more than just an attack on an opponent. We are about delivering a dream and a hope. We are about creating the future that we want, where all of us and our children will have the potential to reach the highest of heights, where our ambitions could be fulfilled by an exciting new development in education. Let me tell you what we have done, an untold secret, but it is important. We all know, as some has described, a lost generation is before us, where children grew up without the care and love of parents. And when they went to the schools, they didn't learn there, they destroyed things there. My sisters are teachers, my brother is a teacher, my sister-in-law, Salisha, is a teacher. And they will tell you of the awful experiences they would have. Not all awful, because they are wonderful children in the schools. But there is a poison within of children who believe, because they did not get the guidance, love and care, little Rowleys maybe, that they disrupt what your government has put in place already in primary schools, and it will spread throughout all of them. We now have meditation in schools. We have yoga in schools. We have value and ethics again being taught in schools, so that if you don't get it at home, you will get it in the schools. So your schools will no longer be institutions for disrespect and bad behavior. It shall return to what was always intended to be, institutions of uplift and of knowledge and of teaching, truly. We have a great future ahead of us. We got to protect it. We need to protect it with each other, knowing and taking responsibility for the things that we must do today. I do not know what day the election will be, but we cannot expect on election morning there are others who have not heard our message, who would have been moved to believe that they must participate. Each and every one of you is an ambassador to this future. Go out, make it happen. Every friend, family, or foe, speak with them. Let them know that upon their shoulders and in their conscience must rest the responsibility to protect our present and safeguard our future. I say, what God has put together, let no man put asunder. But that is only so if we truly believe in goodness and in faith, that we stop believing in I and return the me to the we. We are Trinidad and Tobago. We are a nation awaiting its greatness, and with your help it shall be so. God bless you all. God bless Trinidad and Tobago. All love to our people of Trinidad and Tobago.